We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first, or I suppose it, test episode of Shooting the Shit. I am Lawrence Peterson, and this.
It's Jeff. Hey, thanks for joining us. You guys about to be in for a whole bunch of good stuff. What we're about to do right now, we're about to try to share some value with you guys and just talk about some good stuff. First thing we're going to talk about. Did you have something else?
No, just try to give them, an idea of what it's going to be. Basically, we like to discuss different topics just because we like to discuss different topics. I don't know. But we thought it would be interesting to podcast it and see, if anybody else was out there interested in the things that we're interested in. I think we'll probably end up with an audience for this kind of thing.
Share it with them, right?
Yeah.
Share with us and everybody get better.
I mean, who doesn't like information and such? So, hope you guys enjoy.
That actually starts it out real well. First thing we'll talk about is like how things turn out different than you expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe I'm not sure I'll go for you, but sometimes you decide I want to be a master chef, right? And then you go through culinary school or whatever, and then kind of find out, you know what? I'd rather be a teacher. I'd rather an instructor. I'd rather do X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
How do things turn out different than you expect for you? And how do you work with what you get?
Well, let's see. When I was young, I had a plan. I was going to go to either the Joe Kubert School of Art and Design, I think is what it's called, or Comics and Design.
Okay.
Or I was going to go to the Cleveland Institute of Art. And I ended up never officially going to either of these schools. Although I did sort of take some continuing education classes at Cleveland Institute of Art, just like figure drawing. Unfortunately, things just didn't go to plan. Even I thought I was going to be a comic book artist earlier on. Like, I pretty much thought that since I was like young, like 7 or 8 or something like that. And then now I'm a painter. I didn't really think I was going to end up being a painter, but I don't know. It just kind of unfolded like that. That's pretty much the light version, I guess.
Okay. So, I always find it just fascinating and interesting because I think we talked about this before too. It's kind of like the roll of the die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want a 4, 5, 6. Maybe you want to roll an 11, a 7, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to win. At the end of the day, you want to bet on yourself,
Right.
but sometimes it just don't work out. That sometimes you crap out. Sometimes you hit that snake eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta wait for the next time you get the die in your hand and shoot it again, right?
Right.
And that's what I think about the things turn out different than expected. Like, I don't want to rake my money over there to the house, but next time I get them, I'm gonna try to break the bank, right?
So, I mean, do you think your life is gone? Well, let's start off like this. When you were young, did you have a plan or expectation of what you were going to do when you got older?
Truthfully, the plan continues to change and evolve. In my youth, what I wanted to be is not atypical. I wanted to be a ninja. Like, I wanted to, I remember reading inside one of these, it was like a kung fu magazine that I saw one time, and they had this ad for, you go over there to, I think it was China or someplace, and they would train you inside this monastery. I was like, oh yeah, it's people that get paid to just do martial arts, and that's what I honestly wanted to do originally. As we know, it didn't work out like that. It turned into a whole bunch of different things while I continued to train, like you said, it didn't work out that way, and I continued to train and develop, but I also found myself enjoying other activities and recreating that vision. So it was no longer, hey, I want to be a ninja when I grow up. Now it's like, oh, you know what? I enjoy this activity. You know what? I'm trying to master this skill. And that things turning out different than expected happens in that as well. So it's just a everyday life occurrence.
Yeah. I think it's when I was a kid I thought it was one option. Well, I thought it was two options. You either knew what you were going to do and you went from A to B to C, all the way across the board.
Nice?
Yeah. And the other option was the typical plan. You graduate from high school, you go to college. In college, you take whatever course you're interested in. You end up getting out of college doing that as a professional. And I think that's pretty much like the standard of what society tells us that's how it's supposed to go.
Right.
But I've discovered that is not, it doesn't seem, it can go like that for a certain select few, but in the majority, I don't think it goes like that. I know plenty of people, they were interested in something, they went to college for it, or some of them didn't know what they were interested, but they was like, all right, well, my parents said I gotta go to college, so they went to college. And they either came out of college with just like, okay, well, I had to attend and I ended up getting some degree, and I went to go do something just totally unrelated. Right. It didn't matter because I had the piece of paper. That was, it seemed like to me, that's what most people go to college, you get the degree. It ain't really about the learning or what you're going to do for a living, And some people, they do. Always wanted to be, I was always good with math. I always wanted to do like accounting. And you went to school for accounting and you got out and you went to go work for a bank or a business or something. And they're perfectly happy with that.
All right, some people have a calling. Right.
Yeah. And then a lot of times, though, I think just you end up with something different. And because society tells you there was that certain path and you didn't go directly straight along that certain path, then you either think you're a fuck up or you did something wrong. And I don't think that's always necessarily the case. So I just think there are multiple paths to get anywhere. And, I think a lot of people are too hard on themselves in regards to that. I think obviously if you can find your pleasure in life, what you want to do, by all means, I think you should support. Yeah, I'm always like, go for the heart. Like, if you can get that, yes.
And make money, right? Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and sometimes, because I know plenty of people that might make great money, they hate their job. Right. They just, they're not happy, and I think that should kill you. That should end up killing you. They say most people die from a heart attack about 8 o'clock on Monday morning. What's happening about 8 o'clock on Monday morning? Everybody going to work for the week. So, yeah.
You know what? It's funny to talk about finding that path and how I've experienced the same thing about being hey, do step one, you got to go to step one to get to step two to get to step three. And there are times where that is the way things go in life. Mm-hmm. But like you said, for me, a great majority of the time, it's just maybe a step one, step two, you skip three, and you go to 4 or 5, right? Just everybody have different skills and different talents, right? Different abilities. Mm-hmm. When you talk about the different paths you get to take, I relate that to this thing I always say about people like options. And that's what it reminds me of, right?
People like options.
If you're a painter and I want to be a painter too, do I have to spend the same amount of hours that you spend inside the lab?
No.
But that can make or break you as becoming a better painter than me, right?
Yes.
Now I could make up for that by maybe taking an additional course or two and you putting more time in. That could have different outputs. I would still argue that the person putting more time in is going to get better. But
I would agree.
But
that's not always
different paths.
That's not always. Everybody doesn't have the same goal.
And learning styles, right?
And then on top of that, you factor in, all right, I'm gonna be a painter. You're gonna be a painter. I'm an oil painter. You might be like, well, I want to do watercolors, or I want to do acrylic, or fuck it, I want to do pastels.
Right.
And I might be like, all right, well, I like something super tight, rendered, realistic. You might, I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe you like, all right, I'm gonna paint the figure, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna paint still life, or I'm gonna paint portrait, or I'm gonna paint really tight, super realistic detail, and you like, well, I'm gonna paint something kind of loose and cartoony. Like, it's just variety, man. You can never, to me, options is a beautiful thing. Like, I never would want to be limited on the option. If I go somewhere and I'm like, oh, we got 32 different kinds of ice cream, but these last two, nobody never buy them. I still want the option. Maybe ain't nobody else interested, and I might be like, cantaloupe ice cream, which I've had. I would have never thought of it. It wasn't bad. So you never know.
You gotta bring it to market, though, right?
You gotta bring it to market.
Option, because it's gonna be people. It's people. Do you own yoga pants?
I do not own yoga pants.
Do you plan on owning yoga pants?
I have no.
There's a huge market out there for
it,
right? It works for some people.
Yes.
Not so much for. But anyway, no, we were talking about something, and we definitely gotta get this on camera.
Mm-hmm. Before you do that,
go ahead.
I want to give a shout out to our third host.
Okay.
Water, as some of you guys might know, Water also co-hosts on Verbal Cardio with Tony Baker. Now, we trying to get some people recommend and realize how good Water is, man. Water is going to get his respect in these streets, man. Water just want to put his name out there, man. I'm sorry. As you were, man. I had to give Water his props.
Hey, you got to let him know, right?
You got to let him know.
Elixir of life.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is, maybe a week or two, we were talking about this, and you brought up the point about the difference between the generational differences, because our parents, grandparents looked at us differently as opposed to how we look at this generation, the future generation, so on and so forth, right? So that difference between that childhood, youth, and manhood, right?
Right.
It's a natural escalate, although everyone doesn't reach that level, right? What does manhood mean to you? And that could be womanhood for other people, but for
what does it mean to me? I think manhood is like, there's a general, I guess, agreed upon thing as far as society is concerned. But I think you also had to come to terms with your own personal understanding of what you think manhood is. And it changes depending on the generation or the era and whatnot. Like you said, manhood for us would probably be different than, say, it would be for like somebody 3-4 generations, like our great grandfather or something like that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Manhood, it'd be totally different. So I think you had to have come to your own personal understanding. But for me personally, I think it comes about being a man of virtue. Saying what you mean and standing behind what you say. Being true to yourself and a way of carrying and conducting yourself.
It's the character.
It's the character. Yeah. The character,
which we can all cultivate, right? And you can change it yourself.
Right. You can change that yourself. For some guys, it might mean the way they conduct themselves in business, or the way they conduct themselves just around other people. Which that's kind of how I partly look at it. But I think it's a part of me. Like, in everything I do and the way I act, it's so integrated. It's not like something I'm like, oh, all right, let me look. What does the man rule, manhood book tell me to do in this situation? I think it's just, after a certain point, it's a certain part of your being. Like, it's been integrated in a part of you, But, I don't know. For me, man, it's just being true to myself. And a lot of that is like always striving for a continual improvement. I'm big on that. as far as like trying to conduct myself in a gentlemanly fashion, I also believe that a man, and this is again my own personal code, so I don't hold anybody else to this, but this is the way I look at it. A man should improve with age. You're going to decline physically as you get older, but you should be improving in other ways. Not to say that you shouldn't improve physically either, but I'm saying you should be striving to improve in some fashion. I always think of men as like wine. You should get better with age. And carrying yourself with a certain respect and being respectful towards others in a certain respect until such a situation call for it, you no longer give them that respect. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's mostly on a good level, but if you need to, it's like a lion. You respect the lion. You know why you respect the lion?
What's that?
The lion will rip your fucking head off. So it's like, all right, I'm a man, you a man, I'm gonna give you respect, you'll give me respect. But if you choose not to give me that respect, you're gonna see the other part. So, but hopefully everything goes well. Everything's always on the up and up. Right. Most of the time, things are cool with guys because guys are in charge of like physicality. You know what I mean? Like, if you were out with your girl and let's say somebody was driving or they were doing something, your girl was like, man, what the fuck? Your girl is more likely to say something first. Like, man, what the fuck you doing? Other than you. Because if you say something, I'm a guy, you a guy, shit might get physical. You know what I'm saying? So it's sort of a certain healthy respect. And it's not saying that like you never say anything,
right?
But it's just you have that understanding. Sometimes with girls, they got that invisible force field as if they don't understand, hey, this guy's like 3 times bigger than you. And if he decides to fuck you up, there ain't really shit you can do about it. Unless you got a gun or mace or somebody else with you to have your back. So with guys, we just more aware of things because we know things get physical. I mean, I think it's just a part of our genetic makeup. We gonna look at things more physically anyway. Like, something go wrong. What's the first 2 guys in the argument? What's the first thing you see a guy do? Now, that ain't much, but that's I'm letting you know.
Down.
Yeah, I'm letting you know. I could have just like that, but it's the kind of warning, like, hey man, chill the fuck out or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, there's just certain physicality that we're aware of at all times, Now, some guys, and it seems especially this with the more younger guys, they do not give a shit about balance. So, like, there are a lot of guys that don't have a problem whooping a girl's ass. You know what I'm saying? Any girl. It don't matter. It don't matter if you get in an argument with somebody and somebody's grandmother comes out there and grandmother tell them, oh, calm down or whatever. And the dude will put hands on the grandmother. You'd be like,
it's disrespectful.
Yeah, it's disrespect. Yeah, there's no respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say I got into it with somebody and an older woman came out and said a racial slur at me. I'm not going to go put my hands on her. She old. I mean, 1, she a woman, but 2, she old. You know what I'm saying? But it's, again, that comes with everybody's own interpretation of manhood or whatever, but that's the way I look at it. So it's your own sense of values and your own sense of moral. It's basically your own code to live by. That's what manhood is.
I get that. Because what I'm getting from what you're saying is it's just different levels, right? And you said the different interpretations. For some people, like you said, they would, when one person, the grandmother comes out and confronts the young man might react hostile. Another young man or another person just might not, right? Or might come to this like, all right, it is getting out of control. But that's part of that, what you were saying earlier, that knowing thyself, right? Mm-hmm. it's the grand ultimate truth because it's constantly evolving, right? We all know we got a limit. Your limit is different than my limit, right? And you got different buttons to get pushed than I do.
Yeah.
And it's just like that knowing part of that evolution. That's part of that manhood for me that continues to learn about yourself. But like, all right, look, I don't want to be in this position because I know it's going. I had this friend. Everybody has a word that they don't like to be called, or right, or a name, or something that like they're just like, hey, look, like you said, it's about to go, it's about to step up to that level. His word was clown. Of all words, you could, I'd be like, hey, clown, hey man, don't call me no clown. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, he automatically turned, hey man, don't call me no clown.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And so that's what I was getting. He knows that's his word, and if somebody want to push the button, sure. But I'm pretty sure if he knew, like, hey, look, man, stop calling me that. For the person that don't know, like, hey, let me give you that warning.
Yeah.
You draw the line in the sand, don't cross it.
Don't cross it. Because it's true. Like, sometimes it's just, oh, that's a very disrespectful term. Other times, as it sounds like it may have been with this guy, not only is this a disrespectful term, but it's something that you anchor to personally. You know what I'm saying? You for one reason or another, feel some association with that term, and the association for you is really, really not good.
It's a trigger.
It's a trigger, yeah.
Right.
So it's just like, hey, and you know, being a dude, you can kind of read that like, all right, my bad, or
People should,
yes.
right.
People act like they're just not aware of like certain. It's almost like sometimes people are just not aware of other people. You know what I'm saying? Two people having a conversation. It's like, okay, I'm saying something, you saying something. And the flow is going back and forth and, we're conversing. And at other times, it's just like, well, I got what I want to say. And I'm really just waiting for you to stop talking so I can say what I want to say. To me, it don't matter what you're saying. I'm not even thinking about what you're saying, At that point, there's really no point in even having a conversation. But a lot of people do carry it like that, which is weird to me. But
it's like talking to a brick wall, right?
It's like talking to a brick wall. You don't even need the other person there. I mean, that's just some narcissistic behavior at that point, You
think that got anything to do with a lot of our communication or interactions?
Social media, hands down.
From me to a computer to the other person receiving it from the computer and that interpretation being even if it's via video, right? Like this, we communicating. But if you at home right here, wouldn't it be a totally different conversation?
Yes.
Maybe to interject it.
Yes, because when you're within physical proximity of somebody, it's something different than if you're just. Even if it's just you, you're not on big online or whatever. It's just you and somebody in the chat room. Y'all two people just talking, and y'all the only ones there. It's still a different interaction. That space in between y'all, it just changes things. So like if you used to say doing a lot of interaction that does not, you used to communicate through devices, you don't have those personal skills to be able to interact with people anymore. Well, I shouldn't say you don't have them, but they kind of wither away a little bit because you're just not used to picking up on those cues because you're not used to being personal with somebody anymore. So definitely the communication has a big thing to do with it. Even in the communication, you have to put like LOL or something to let you know I'm joking.
Right.
Because you don't know what the frame of the...
It's easy to misinterpret.
Right, it's easy to misinterpret, So, yeah, that definitely has a lot to do with that.
You know what? I thought about that, but I never looked at it that way. I mean, because your humor is different than mine. I might laugh at your joke, but it's the way you deliver it, right? And, that kind of makes... So, let me ask you this then. Mm-hmm. So, we just talked about that loss of communication, right? That the little chinks that happen in communication and just interaction on a day-to-day basis, right? What makes it a little bit murky. So let me ask you this. What's the difference between intentionality and versus freestyling, right? Like knowing what you're going to do or, hey, look, I'm about to talk to this person. I gotta go talk to the boss. I'm not about to just talk his ear off.
Right.
I'm about to talk about this and that, or I'm about to talk to my son about such and such, or me and the old. Versus just freestyle. It's a time and a place for both, right?
It's a time and a place for both.
So how do you use that?
Well, I don't look at them as different things. Well, let's say it's different levels. I would say it's the same thing, but it's different levels. All right, first you go in with a specific target. I'm going to discuss, I want to raise. All right, secondly, you go in, I want to raise, but I'm not going to hit him directly with that. I'm not going to give him that point blank, shot to the head. I'm going to talk about some stuff, this and that, maybe the Cavs game, this and that, but I'm going to work the raise in there. And then third is just freestyling. Excuse me. I don't have any goal in mind, but, I see him, he see me, we just start talking, having a conversation. So I think it's all within the same thing, just different parts of the range. But I don't think anyone is particularly bad. You need all of them. You just need them at different times. I don't think you ever want to be without. You ever want totally one and none of them.
Right. Don't want to be extreme.
Right. Yeah. You don't want either extreme. You want to be able to flow in between any of those as you need and see fit.
Your discretion. Right.
Yeah.
See, now I definitely agree with that. I mean, because if you too hot, you too cold. The Goldilocks problem, right?
Let me ask you a question. You meet a young lady, and you trying to take it to the next level. All right. How you do it? Do you go in there like, all right, I'm trying to fuck. What's up? Or do you go in there like, hey, how you doing? Such and such. Hey, you think we can get into something tonight? Or do you just go in there and just talk whatever and hope something gonna happen? Like, you need to be able to navigate those, because even if you set in your mind, all right, I'm gonna do it one of those three ways, you can't not pay attention to everything else that's happening. Because everything else is happening, it don't matter either of those three functions. If you pick one of those things at the wrong time of everything else that's happening, it collapses, yeah. So you're going to need to, you're like, hey, well, everything's going great. Let me just try to fill her out and see what's going to go down, Or you just like, man, I'm going to get something tonight. And then she get a call, something happened to her mom. And then she hang up the call, you like, hey, so we fucking tonight? You be like, nah, that's the most inappropriate, horrible thing. But you was always like, I'm gonna do it, I'm going in, and other shit was going on around it, So yeah, you need to be able to navigate those things. If you don't, you probably end up with somebody like I can't think of what it is, but they don't get certain things, they don't get sarcasm and stuff like that. And you end up everything is literal. And you end up on that scale, and you just it's hard for that person to interact with other people, and it's hard for other people to interact with that person.
Like Drax from the.
Yes, yeah.
Right, but it's real people like that. But it's real people
like that, yeah.
Yeah, nah. What else? What else we got for him?
Well, let's talk about modeling. Modeling is in terms of that could be role modeling. That could be just you modeling different things after people you look up to, or even fictional characters. Who are some of the people you think that you've modeled yourself after in life?
You know what? Truth, I have been very lucky to be able to have several mentors, to be able to have. We were talking about this the other day, the modeling of not only always having a mentor showing you, hey, yeah, this is the way you take off the cap, this is the way you drink the water, right? Mm-hmm. It's good to have that. We all want that. Yeah. But sometimes it's just quench your thirst when you need to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, true.
And
true.
It could be this. look, me and him got water, and you don't get no water, right? So I'm learning from all three. Somebody could teach me how to use my water. All right, thank you. If you just give me the water and leave me out by myself, I would appreciate the lesson, but this is what I got.
Okay.
And then also the part somebody else sharing with other people or you getting neglected, right?
Mm-hmm.
That leadership role of taking that observational awareness of what's going on with other people around you, right? So who have I modeled? Jim Rohn definitely helped me out. I mean, it's a long list. I had through YouTube and audio courses, so on and so forth. I will find people that I become really fascinated. The Jim Rohns, the Earl Nightingales, right? The Tony Robbins, so on and so forth. It's a long list, and I'm pretty sure you got your own list as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also got the chance from that to start looking at, man, I want somebody in my face that I can ask these other questions. It's great to have those audio programs, but what about those questions that you like, oh, that made me think about this. Well, what does this mean? Well, how about this? Well, how can I dive further? And it's just no explanation, and you got to figure it out. That's that again, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for the water, but like, damn, all right. It ain't opening.
It is like you said, different approaches, and there are different drawbacks to different approaches. So like each approach probably has its own pros and cons to go along with it.
Right.
You named your way, like, different people on YouTube and stuff like that. And I agree, but that's something I've only been doing within the past year and a half. Okay. Before that, I wasn't really capitalizing on YouTube like that, But something I used to do that I did not even notice that I was doing was I would watch a lot of movies, and then I would find certain movies I would watch over and over, or certain parts I would watch over and over. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was really trying to model those things and really just trying to retain everything,
Right.
And so I ended up with a lot of fictional models.
Like who? Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I can't lie, man. Sherlock Holmes, like BBC, Sherlock. Yeah.
You put me on a Chili Palmer.
Chili Palmer.
That was,
yeah. And it was usually never. A lot of them was never like a overall whole thing. Like, all right, I'm gonna be Chili Palmer. Like,
right.
I'm gonna dress like Chili. I'm gonna talk like Chili. But it was usually one attribute that person had that I was like, I need some of that, So it was like, I find this really comes back with a lot of things in my life. It was like the buffet where I always tell you, like, take what you want and leave the rest. That's my views on a lot of stuff. And I found out that's really just seemed like a big approach to life. All right, Chili Palmer. Here's a dude. He's a tough guy, but he doesn't always come off like I'm the hardest guy in the room. You know what I'm saying? He's very smooth. He's very confident. I like the way he conducts himself. That's what I liked about him. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to take some of the smooth and the confidentness, but I might leave some of the I'm going to stand in front of the gun part. You know what I mean? Like,
criminal activity.
Yeah.
Right,
well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, if a guy pulls out a gun, I'm not going to stand there like, all right, so what you going to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, Chili Palmer would be like, and then you would go to shoot, and then the gun wouldn't go off for whatever reason. Yeah, I'm not going to take that aspect, but I'm going to take the smoothness, the more cavalier part of them. Also, it was usually, I figured out it was usually certain type of characters. Usually, like, the wise person, like, what I like to call the wizard archetype. It was usually, sometimes he was the main guy, or a lot of times he was the guy who gave the main guy advice. So it could be anybody from, like, Stringer Bell, who, like, was like the second kind of in charge of the bad guys on Wire. Like he was the second to Avon, and he was the like, all right, Avon was like, go in there, we gonna fuck them up, I'm gonna make it happen. And Stringer was like, all right, that's cool. Make sure when we go in there, we're gonna cover this and this. So if they run out in the alley, we're gonna have them surrounded. You know what I'm saying? And I think that just identifies with a certain aspect of my personality. But like I was always I'm about the mental. I want to be well informed. I want to outthink the opponent. I was the strategist, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, usually people I model was along those same lines. You know, so I liked Lex Luthor and Lionel Luthor from like Smallville. Trying to think of some of the other people I used to model. Oh, Danny Ocean, Ocean's 11.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, Thomas Crown Affair.
You talk about that movie a lot.
Love those. And it was like, what did you like about them? They were smart. They didn't go in there and have to whoop somebody's ass or something. I outsmarted you. Before you thought you was going to get me, I did everything before you even got there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my kind of guy. It was something about that really appealed to the character in me. That was just like, oh, okay, those are attributes that I feel I have, and these are people that share those same attributes, and I can learn and grow from them. You know, so that's the way I looked at it. And yeah, I mean, it. Like I said, I didn't even realize I was doing it for years, but it's something there. Like when I used to listen to Jay-Z. When I got into Jay-Z, a lot of people was into Jay-Z, but I always felt like they didn't hear what I heard, you know, and now I'm even more convinced that's true because Jay raps on like so many subjects and he can get so complex with his rhymes. You thinking about money, cash, hoes, and I'm thinking about I want the fortune. You can keep the fame. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thinking, you hear we all looking at the same thing. We all listen to the same thing, but what somebody else is getting is not what I'm getting. I'm getting something else on a different level than what they're getting. You know, everybody lens or your processor or whatever you want to call it, you see what you can see. If I look at that flower and then you look at that flower, you see the flower, but I might be looking at this part over here. You might be looking at that part over there. What are you focusing on? You know what I'm saying? So for me, I was hearing something like the businessman aspect of Jay, the character aspect of Jay. You know that you carry yourself a certain way, you do things a certain way. I'm about my business. Like I'm outsmarting the competition. You know that's what appeals to me. Like, perfect example, I've never seen Scarface. I've seen 20 minutes of Scarface. Like, 3 or 4 different parts, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Have no interest in seeing Scarface. Okay. Most people love Scarface. Especially in the hood. You go out and say Scarface, people are like, yeah, that's the shit. But, Carlito's Way? Love Carlito's Way. Carlito's Way never get any props. Same actor. Both kind of gangster movies. But Scarface is like, oh yeah, I run in there and bang, bang, shoot him up. I grind from the bottom to the top. There's nothing about that talks to me. First off, I don't really want to shoot a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I will if I have to, but it's not like that's not something you want to be doing. Like, that's my lifestyle. Yeah, we'll edit that. But I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, right. That's not... All right, yeah, if I can become super rich, but I had to, like, shoot people to do it, it's not really the kind of lifestyle I want to lead. You know, live by the sword, die by the sword. But, if you look at Carlito's Way, he ended up, you know, becoming what he became, but he was like... How did he do it? He was just smart. He wasn't like running at people with a chainsaw,
Right.
or like sniffing mounds of coke, or killing his best friend over like dumb shit. So it's just a different. Everybody sees something different. I don't see the greatness that people see in Scarface. And not to say there's anything against that kind of movie, because I like certain gangster movies, but yeah, there's nothing that really appeals to my personality. So like I said, everybody sees something differently. So it's just certain aspects of my personality that I identify in certain other characters, fictional, and sometimes in real life, and I try to incorporate that. Another big one has been like Eric Thomas. Now that one does come from the YouTube videos, and in a way, Eric Thomas is the same thing as Scarface. Because Scarface was like all about coming from the bottom to the top. And it was the same thing with Jay-Z, coming from the bottom to the top. Jay-Z came from the Marcy Projects. Eric Thomas comes from Detroit. He was homeless, dropped out of high school. Now this dude a multi-millionaire. Jay-Z, Marcy Projects, now this dude a multi-millionaire. He might be close to billionaire at this point. But I'm just saying, like, it's that, especially with E.T., it's that grind. I'm going to put in the hard work to earn my keep and make it happen. And I got nothing but respect for people who work hard for what they get.
No doubt.
And like I said, that's something that appeals to me personally, Everybody don't have that same mentality. But for me, yes, I'm a very conscientious type of guy. So I'm willing to put in the work to make it happen, to become what it is I want to become, or to do what it is I want to do in life. And, that's just something that personally just identify with. Eric Thomas, rise and grind. My wife makes fun of me all the time. Eric Thomas, yeah, that guy, he always grinding. That's what he always talk about, grind. Grind this, grind that. But hey, if it works, like Nelly said, if hard work works, easy work is worthless. How do you dispute that? When I was a kid, grandma would try to get me to do something, or somebody would try to get me to do something. I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. That's a lot of hard work, man. But now, I'm like, and it sounds weird to say it like this, now I think of it as I didn't appreciate hard work. I didn't appreciate it because it's just different now. Like my mentality is like, okay, if I'm willing to put in the work, I can have this. Well, let's get to it then. And I guess in a sense, that's somewhat part of the American dream. Like, oh, okay, if you're willing to work hard for it, you can become anything you want to become. I got a lot of faith in that. As much as like people might dispute that and like, say this and that about America, I got a lot of faith in like, hey man, put it in. Because, all right, let's say you didn't. Let's say you didn't feel like that. What's the alternative? What do you pitch me as